Hello everyone and welcome to the 8th episode of Bootstrap version 5.3 tutorial series for beginners input group. With the help of input group, you can easily extend form controls by adding text buttons or button groups on either side of textual inputs, custom selects and custom file inputs. And you know that we'll be using Visual Studio Code as our code editor throughout this series, and if you need to learn more about VS Code, you can watch my VS based series and find the link in the description below. Let's open our Explorer, and this is the project folder. We have got various folders in it and various files. Let's select this sample.html and I'm gonna make a copy of it, and let's rename it as bootstrap-input-group. And let's close our Explorer and let's select all of these sample text instances, and let's change this with, say, input-group. Hit save, and now I am going to open this input-group.html in the browser with the help of this live server extension, and that will take. Alright, so here we have got input-group.html, and let's keep both the windows side by side, and that will give us some better illustration what's going on. Alright, that looks perfect, and now I am going to add our first input group. For that, I'm gonna add here a class, say input-group with margin bottom -3, and inside that div let's have input-group group-text, and that should be the class for span tag. Alright, and let me wrap our editor. That looks good now. Alright, let me scroll up a bit. Alright, so input group text, and I am also going to have a content here, say add, and at the same level I'm gonna have input element with say class of form -control, and let's add element here, place holder equals to username, and let's make a copy of this EMMET expression. And if you need to learn more about this EMMET expressions, you can watch my EMMET based series and find the link in the description below. Now let's comment this one out and let's make this one work for you. Hit enter, and let's go scroll all the way down, and yes, that looks perfect, and hit save. So that does not look good because, alright, let's undo everything. Let's get back to VS Code, and I am going to undo everything, and let's add here, I forgot to add a period here. Hit save, and let's make this work for us. Hit save. Yes, that looks perfect. So here we have got our first input group. This is add-on, and this is the input for your users. So what I'm gonna do here is let's undo that, and let's keep this EMMET expression for you. Let's comment this one out and make this one work for you. Save. Alright, so that looks perfect. Now after that, we have got another variation. Say if you want to have this add-on to the other side, what I'm gonna do here is let's come in here and select this block of code and make a copy, and let's add a heading here, and I'm gonna add a text here, say add on to the other side. Alright, and let's hit save. This is what we have. Now say if you want to change the position of this add-on to the other side, you just need to come in here and change the position of your span, hit save, and that sends your add-on to the right or to the end. Let me resize it a little more. Now if you want to add a label to your input groups, what you will need to do is just come back in here to the VS Code, and I am going to make a copy of this block of code. Hit enter, and let's add in here. I'm going to change the heading and this comment in text. Let's make this input group with label and text. Alright, so if you want to have a label with your input group, what you will need to do is just come in here and let's wrap it with margin bottom, say 3. Hit save, and after that let's add a label here with class form hyphen label, and you can also add a content, say your label here. Alright, let me remove this breakpoint. Okay, and I am going to make this work for us. Hit enter, hit save, and you get label here. And if you want to add some text after your input group, you can also do that. Let's come here, and after your input group div, let's add here a class form hyphen text. That this class we have already learned in one of our previous episode, and you can add a content here, say your text here. Hit enter and hit save. So that's how you can add some text after your input group. Now after adding labels and text to your input group, if you want to add add-on to both the sides, you can do that as well. So let's select this block of code and let's make a copy, and I am going to change the text here as add on to both the sides. Alright, and hit save, and for that let's remove this label for now and the text as well. We don't need that. Let's cut that, hit save. That looks the way we want. And if you want to add this add-on to this side as well, so just make a copy of your span and send this after input. Hit save, and now you have got add-on to both the sides. Moreover, you can also add TEXTAREA in your input group. Let's come in here and select this block of code and make a copy, and let's add that here. Hit save and go to add-on to both the sides. Alright, and I am going to change the text from here. Say I do this effort for you guys so you can figure out what's going on. Otherwise, adding a heading is quite a tedious job for me. So let's type in here input text. Input hyphen group with text. Alright, and input group with text area. Alright, so now what I'm gonna do is let's keep this span with you, and I am going to cut this span for now. Hit save, and that's what we have. And let's cut that input as well, and I am going to add here text area with a class form hyphen control. Alright, and now let's hit enter, hit save, and we have got text area with an add-on. So if you want to change the height of this text area, let's come in here and make this rows value to 5. Hit save, or make this 3 maybe. Alright, that looks fine now. Let's go ahead. Now if you want to, you can add the relative form sizing classes to the input group itself, and contents within will automatically be resized to, say, you don't have to repeat the form control size classes on each element. Alright, let me show you what I mean by that. Let's come here, and I am going to show you the sizing, and for that we'll need this block of code. Let's make a copy, and I am going to add here a heading, say sizing, and let's paste what we have copied, and let's add here some comments. Say, let's have an example of small. Okay, so what we explained earlier is you don't need to add sizing classes to each of the element. You just need to add your sizing class to this input group class. Say, always remember to keep your base class, which is input group, and let's make this as, say, SM for small. Hit save, and I am going to, let's copy this input from here, copy, and let's get back in here and replace this text area with an input. Hit save, and we get, so this is the small input group, and we can have one more to go. Let's make a copy of this, and let's replace this small text with large, and you can change this as well, SM to LG. Hit save, and this is the large size of your input group. And after the sizing, you can also place any checkbox or radio option within an input groups add-on instead of text, and it's also recommended to add margin top -0 to the form check input when there is no visible text next to the input. Let me show you what I mean. So let's come here, and I'm gonna add a heading here, say check boxes and radios as add-ons. Alright, and let's add here some elements. Say, I am going to add here input-group with margin bottom -3, and inside that div let's have couple of parentheses, and I'm gonna add in here input-group-text, and inside that div let's have input with a class of form-check-input input. Alright, input. And as we discussed earlier, you also need to add here, if you don't have any visible text, you can add here margin top -0, and let me add an attribute here. The type will be equals to checkbox instead of text, and after that parenthesis let's add input with form -control. Alright, now see what we have. Hit save, and where did I go wrong? Checkbox, input group text, and input group. Let's undo that. Okay, and see where did I go wrong. Okay, or let's make this work for now and try to see what we have done wrong here. Say, alright, so here is an issue. I did not add a period. Let's undo that, and add a period here. So input group with margin bottom and input group text, and then we have input form check input with margin top 0, and then we have an attribute type equals checkbox, and then at the same level we have another input having form control. Alright, so let's see what we have now. Hit save. Alright, so that's how you can add a checkbox as an add-on. Let's go to VS Code, and I'm gonna undo that, and let's keep this EMMET expression for you, and let's make this second one work for us. Hit save. Alright, so this way you can also add radio as your add-on. Let's copy this block of code, and let's copy this block of code, and I'm gonna add here a heading, say radio as an add-on. Alright, hope that makes sense. And you need to change here only one thing. Just come in here to the input element and change the value of our type to radio. Save, and now we have got radio as add-on. Now if you want, you can also add buttons as add-ons. For that, let's go all the way down, and I am going to add in here a heading and add here button as an add-on. Alright, and after that let's add a div having a class of input-group with margin bottom -3, and inside that div let's have button having a class of base button with button -outline say secondary. Alright, and you can also add some content here, say button, and at the same label let's add an input here, and for that I am going to add a class, say form-control, and let's add an element here as well with placeholder equals to last name, and see what we have. Hit save. Alright, so that adds that only adds the last. Let's undo that, and last, since last name has space in between, let's have this within quotes. Hit save, and let's make this work for us. Save now. Alright, so I'm gonna undo that, and let's keep this expression for you, and let's comment this one out and make this one work for us. Hit enter, save. So that's how you can add button as add-on to the input group. You can also have buttons with drop downs. For that, let's come here, and I'm gonna add a heading here with, say, button with drop down. That looks better now. And after that, I'm going to add in here a class, say input-group we don't need hyphen here. Now let's add margin bottom -3, excuse me, and inside that div let's have button with button outline secondary class with drop down toggle, and let's add an attribute here, data -bs toggle, and the value would be drop down. And after that long expression, let's add some parentheses, and on the same level I'm gonna add an order list with a class of drop down hyphen menu, and inside that div let's have a couple of parentheses, and here I'm gonna add list item. Inside that list item let's have anchor tag with a class drop down hyphen item, and let's have say list item, and list item I am also going to add some content here, item colon say dollar, and let's make a copy, say 3 copies of it. Alright, that looks fine so far, and let's add on the same level an input with a class of form hyphen control. Alright, and hit enter and see what we get. So we have a drop down, but we do not have a content for the button. Let's undo that and see what did we forget to add. So data bs toggle, and let's add a content here for the button. Say I'm gonna add here button. Alright, and let's go all the way down here and hit enter, save. Alright, so I'm gonna undo that. Let's keep this expression for you, make a copy, and let's comment this one out and make this work for us. Enter, save, and that's how you can add a button as an add-on to your input group. Alright, and after that, and now if you want to add a segment to this input group, what you can do is just copy this block of code and make a copy, and let's add some heading here, say segmented buttons, save. We have the same thing. So for that, what you need to do is, let me maximize our editor. Alright, so let's make a copy of our button. Alright, and what I'm gonna do is, let's remove this drop down toggle class from here, as well as this attribute data bs toggle, and let's change this button to action. Alright, and you will need to add one more class to this second button element. Say let's copy this drop down toggle and paste that in here, and let's make this drop down toggle hyphen split, split. Hit save, and now resize the editor, and that's how you can add. Let's wrap our browser editor. Now let's wrap our editor, and I am going to remove this content from here. Let's save, and now we have got this little segment to this input group. Now after that segmented buttons example, now let's see how you can add custom selects to your input groups. So let's come here and go all the way down, and let's add here a heading, say custom select. Alright, and let's scroll down, and I am going to add some room here. That looks good. Okay, alright, now let's add some elements here, say period input hyphen group with say margin bottom hyphen 3, and inside that I'm gonna have a label with a class of input hyphen group hyphen text, with options, and let's add an element here, select with a class of form hyphen select, and inside that select let's have a couple of options. Within parentheses I'm gonna add option, say let's add some content here, option colon, let's add a dollar sign to represent the number of copies we are going to have, and let's add an attribute here, say value equals to, and add the numbers of the copies we'll have, and let's have 3 copies. Hit enter and hit save, and here we have got custom select. Alright, so let's get back to VS Code. I'm gonna undo that, make a copy of this expression, and let's make this work for you. Hit save. So that's how you can add custom select to your input groups, and if you want you can also add custom file to your input groups. So for that, what I'm gonna do is, let's go all the way down, and I'm gonna add in here some heading, and let's add here content custom file input. Hit save. Alright, and let's scroll down, and I am going to scroll down the browser as well. So now let's add some elements here, say input hyphen group with margin bottom hyphen 3, and inside that div I'm gonna add a label with input hyphen group hyphen text, and let's add a content here, say upload, and at the same level I'm gonna add input here with a class of form hyphen control, and let's have an attribute here, say the type should be file. Hit enter and see what we get. Alright, so that's how you can add custom file input to your input group, and let's undo that and keep this expression for you, make a copy and comment this one out, and let's make this one work for us. Hit save. Now after all that, here is a moment that you have been eagerly waiting for. Let's talk about how you can customize input group add-on, and for that let me maximize the browser, and let's visit getbootstrap.com, and let's find here input group. Let's click this link and go all the way to this SASS variables section, and here we have got few variables that you can use to customize your input groups, say padding on y-axis, padding on the x-axis, the color, background color, or anything that you want to change. So let's have an example for if you want to change the color of your add-ons. So let's copy this line of code from here, and I am going to undock this tab for now, and let's minimize it. Let's resize our browser, get back to VS Code, and I am going to open here main.scss, and let's first, I think I did not restore our previous episode's customization, so let's comment this one out, hit enter, and let's paste our newly copied variable, and I am going to remove this extra space from here. Hit save and make sure that your WatchSASS extension is working. And now let this extension take 100,000 million years to generate the file, and if you notice that it's still watching and I think it has passed 100 years. Now it has passed 200 years and it's still working, and I'm gonna pause the video until it completes working. Alright, so welcome back, and there is some error. Let's close the panel, and I am going to wrap the editor, and let's select this input color variable and let's change this to say green. And if we get back here, so let's save the file, and the VS Code has detected the change. Now see if it worked. So it has changed the color of our add-on as green, if you notice here. Let's get back to VS Code, and I am going to make this red. Hit save, and now if you notice that it has changed the color of our add-on to red. Now hope you got the idea, and if you want to customize more, you have got this. Let me bring up our browser. These variables to customize your input groups, and let me restore the stylings by commenting out this line of code and hit save, so it restores the styling back to its default state. And that was all about Bootstrap input group. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for watching and see you next time.